Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of, yes, I 100% screwed that up. I almost went into Train Simulator, but it's not Train Simulator. Not today, anyway. We are playing a brand spanking new, fresh released Railroader. So this game just released today. Short bit after I got home from school, and we're gonna be taking a look at it today. Well, taking a look at what we can anyway. So I have just finished playing through the tutorial. I saw zero reason whatsoever that I myself needed to do a video on it, as I've seen a couple videos on the tutorial already. My video would be just kind of redundant, so we're going to be taking a look at it just kind of as a whole, just kind of for giggles and squiggles. Kind of our initial thoughts, what I think, how I think it's going, where I think the game will go. I don't know. We'll see. It's a bit of a fireside chat and a little bit of gameplay, because why not? So I am not in sandbox mode. That switch is definitely not the right way. Yeah, it's fine. But I'm not in sandbox mode. I am in the normal realistic kind of campaign mode, as you will. So as many of you probably already know, if you're watching my channel, chances are you fiddle with trains as it is. You've probably been watching this. This is a... I don't want to quite call it a train simulator per se, because it's a bit of a mixture of things. It's not quite a simulator in that it's a very, very, very basic locomotive operation setup. You're not sitting in the cab like I am right now. You're not sitting in here fiddling with all the bells, buttons, and whistles and such. You don't have to worry about being a fireman. You don't have to worry about keeping your boiler pressure up or anything like that. So it's not quite a simulator in that aspect, but it is a bit of a business simulator per se. So you do have your own kind of little railroad here, your own little kind of setup doodad. If you start off in a sandbox mode, you'll have everything, whatever you so please. But as far as the campaign goes, you kind of start off as this little short line railroad. You've got a couple locomotives. One of them's got to get repaired. Most of you probably saw that in the what do they call it, in the tutorial videos. But basically, you'll start off with this little short line running between a couple little towns and making deliveries and repairing your railroad and expanding it. So it's probably most akin to a business simulator, something such as the old Railroad Tycoon kind of game. So graphically, right off the bat, it's pretty nice overall. I do like it. It is a little junky in some places. Earlier, I had some issues in the beginner town, the starter town, Whittier, with a huge swath of land just not loading at all. I've taken a couple pictures of it. I intend to send off as a bug report, but whole swath of land that just didn't show up. But other than that, overall, it is really quite nice. Kind of gives me some Derail Valley vibes. Not quite to the level of Derail Valley, but kind of those same vibes, I guess. texturing, the overall graphical detail, the look reminds me a lot of Trains, which isn't entirely surprising as a fairly well-known Trains builder. Had a helping hand in this, if I recall correctly. Green Coast Studios had a hand in designing this game, so it's not too terribly surprising that we should be seeing that kind of Trains vibe, the Trains look. So overall detailing is really quite nice. It's definitely noticeable. If you compare a Green Coast Studio locomotive in Trains Simulator to this, you will definitely see the resemblance. You will definitely see the similarities. However, as you can see, there are some things that are done better. So you do have a nice playable whistle with a couple different ways to play it. That in and of itself is a really neat thing, something that we don't see very often, which is kind of wild if you think about it. A quillable whistle is really and truly a rare feature in just about all train sims right now. You kind of see it with the Smokebox products in Train Simulator Classic, aka Railworks, but really the only other place I've seen a fully playable quillable whistle that has a nice variable tune is right here, actually, or not right here. The only other place, I should say, the other place that I've seen a quillable whistle is Railroads Online. So hold the V key and your mouse essentially plays as the whistle chord. So that's a really cool feature. That's something that's really, really quite advanced. It's kind of mind-boggling that we've never seen that in any of the other train sims. Like, for as long as some of them have been out, you would think that would be a feature. Oh well. So let's see. Let's go ahead and unhook from our train here, because we actually have a couple things that need to go to the destination here. So this is our second little town here. Now, as I said, I have finished the tutorial, so I am kind of progressing just a little bit. This is actually our second train so far. So these are the materials to start our expansion. So the story goes, a big flood came through and wiped out a lot of the railroad. And as such, you start off with this right here. This little area right here. So Whittier, Connolly, and Ella. Connolly is not covered in the tutorial at all, which, oh well, you know, it's not necessarily needed to get you going. Really all that is covered in the tutorial is Whittier and Ella, which is fine. It's enough to get you going. It's enough to really kind of start you off in the direction you need to go. They're your really two major freight towns per se for now, which is exactly what we're doing right here. So you can take contracts for different companies in these different towns to bring freight to them, essentially. So like right now we've got these two cars down here on the end. We will be dropping off here at the Ella Farm Supply, which I do believe, let's rotate, I do believe it's this track over here, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe I'm an idiot. Oh wait, that's the Origins. I am an idiot. I gotta go over here. Okay. And then all of these cars are part of our expansion. So as you progress in the game, you make enough money, you can purchase supplies to essentially repair your railroad, to help it out, to expand it further along the map. So let's zoom on over to here. So as you can see, for the time being, our line ends right here. Now, I have no idea how this drop-off is going to work, if I just dump the cars and bam, bridge is going to get fixed or what. It's a learning experience, so we're kind of learning as we go. But as you can see, controls are fairly basic. This is what you get. Of course, bell. Nice sounding bell. Whistle. You can cycle through your class lights, and then there are some nice things that it goes into that you don't see in a lot of the other train sims or train games per se, such as air brakes. The air brakes are very nicely modeled in this game, from what I can tell, from what I've experienced so far. They're probably the most realistically modeled out of all of the train games that I've played thus far. I'm sure somebody's going to spout something about Run 8. I do not play Run 8, so I cannot attest to how realistic that game is. All of Run 8 is geared towards modern railroading, and I have zero interest whatsoever in modern railroading, so I see no reason to pick up a simulator that's geared entirely towards modern railroading. So I cannot compare it to that, but compared to stuff like Trains, Train Sim Classic, Railroads Online, the air brakes in this game probably the best modeled. So you actually do have to take the time to hook up your air brakes. You have to hook up your air lines, open the valves, yada yada. Otherwise, you have no brakes. You're gonna have a heck of a time trying to stop a train. And physics are really nice so far. You can jerk, you can slam into those couplers, and it definitely looks and feels like you have a heck of a train behind this little 260. A nice loaded train. So that's a really nice factor. Oh goodness, you'll have to excuse me. The winter weather of Pennsylvania has decided to come on down, and it's absolutely murdering me. A lot of people did not show up for school. I guess a lot of guys are sick from that, but oh well, such is life, as some would say. But slowly roll on into here. Yoinkity Point. Don't know what that was, but that looked interesting. But more into the business side of things. One of the things you have to pay attention to is, of course, fuel. You will go through fuel, and you will actually wear out your locomotives and your stock, so you have to pay attention to that. You do have to order fuel, which you will then have to switch out the empty cars for new cars. You'll have to order the fuel, wait for it to come in, which really only applies to diesel fuel and coal. Doesn't apply to water. Water is a free commodity on this game, as much as I can tell thus far. So that is one little thing. You can hire personnel, crew, AI, shop workers, which you do have to pay them, so you have to bear that in mind as you hire them. But you will need shop workers. AI, I don't know yet As you can very clearly tell, I'm not that far into the game to really need AI as of this moment. However, you definitely have to have at least one guy working in the shop so that he can, repair your second locomotive. And yeah, it's a neat thing. As I said, you do have to pay for your workers, so you gotta bear that in mind. You gotta be actively making money. You gotta be actively going through all this. But go ahead. Oh, that's interesting. Let's go ahead and apply those handbrakes, because I don't know what's going on there. Close. Close. And reverse. It's got a lot of little nice details like that. Releasing the brake lines like that, I very much enjoy that. I love that scene. Just overall a nice thing. And then of course, the actual locomotives are done up quite nice from what I can tell. I have not experienced anything other than this little 260, the 460 that we quote-unquote rescue during the tutorial. It is currently being repaired, but overall it is a really nice setup. There's some kind of wonkiness here and there if you really try to nitpick it, like these. I assume these are the electrical wires that go to the marker lights here. Just don't quite go to the marker lights, but it does have animated valve gear inside, which is really nice. Overall texturing is quite nice. Everything's nice and round. It's not quite squared off in a noticeable fashion like a lot of Trains content is, but overall the modeling is really, really nice. Lots of 3D modeling instead of the age-old Train Simulator 2D textures here, there, and everywhere, and maybe the hint of a shape. So that's pretty nice. The sounds are really quite nice. It's nice to hear some fresh sounds. Feels like forever since I've heard some nice fresh sounds for anything American in the Train Simulator community. Granted, we don't have a whole lot American in the Train Simulator Classic genre. Just about everything's done by Machine Rail and Smokebox. But Trains has a huge variety of American steam, but a good half of them all use the exact same sounds, which I don't always knock too much, as it is really easy to change sounds in Trains. However, it is still kind of an irky thing when you buy a model and it's got some basic Trains sounds. So it is really quite nice to be hearing some new sounds. The whistle, really nice. It can be a little bit crackly. The way the audio just kind of cuts out sometimes. But it's not awful by any means. I do think they should swap the keybind quills. H is your low key. H plus shift is your high note. I feel like it should be opposite of that. It just kind of makes sense to me, coming from Train Simulator Classic. Naturally, for anybody that hasn't played that, it's probably makes no difference. But the only quillable whistles that I know of in TSC for US are done by Smokebox, and that's how it is. Shift bar pulls off the low note, while your space bar is your regular whistle. So Just kind of feels a little bit backwards, but you know, that's a little bit of a nitpick. I will give that. It's nothing major by any means. Let's go ahead and start slowing down. We just gotta clear the switch here. These have a lot of nice, like, little things too, like being able to open the doors and whatnot. Hopefully later on we'll get to see these actually loaded. So like right now it claims it's got 40 tons of farming machinery, but it's very empty. So hopefully later on we get some, you know, actual loads to be able to show up inside the freight cars. That would be a nice thing, I think. The game is in early access. I 9 times out of 10 I never buy early access stuff, just because I find early access to be a gimmick. It's you paying to be a beta tester instead of the company actually getting a beta tester. I don't agree with that, but this is one of those odd times where I kind of broke my norm and got an early access game. So the game is very much still not finished. It is very much still in core development phase, so there are things that are going to change over time. But as it sits right now, it seems to be running pretty smoothly. Now you can run this multiplayer as well as single player. I have not tried multiplayer. I don't have people to play multiplayer with, so it's not something that I'm all that much worried about due to my weird times. Truth be told, it would not be on often enough to have a group of people to play. But let's see. Come on, open up. There we go. So, those 2 cars are done. I do like the vicinity sounds. They're quite nice. Here, your generator fades in and out as you move around. The steam and smoke, yeah, definitely not the best. The steam very much looks like cotton balls. Very much looks like cotton balls. Not my favorite at all. The smoke does not look horrid until you start to get going. You really start to notice the cotton balls. It's not the worst by any means. It's just not the best. It's just kind of one of those, could be worse, could be better. But, it is what it is. Not heartbroken. So go ahead and kill our brakes. Let's reverse out of here. Go get the rest of our train. But, it's not horrid. It's just like I said, see, once you start getting going, you really start to see those cotton balls. So hopefully that gets worked on a bit. If they're aiming for a more realistic look, that's something that's definitely going to have to go. The overall scenery, I believe this is supposed to represent the kind of northeast. So, there's not a huge variety in look here. You know, most of the trees are the same color, same bark. I do kind of hope that we get a little bit of variety in vegetation. Again, it doesn't look bad by any means. It looks pretty decent for what it is. I'm not saying it's bad, but I do hope that we get a little bit more of a variety in vegetation. Like the grass, not a big fan of. But I would say probably the most noticeable thing so far on this route in this game is the lack of population. That is something that I hope we get to see a little bit of later on. Is some population, something to populate the game. Like, we got roads here that go nowhere. We got no people whatsoever. We got a freight station here that's serving farm equipment. Where? You know, it just there's nothing to make the game feel very alive as it sits. It, you know, it's not horrid, like I said. It's not bad. It's just, you know, this is supposed to be a little town, so we need something here to populate it. Some little houses, some people, something to change it up. But again, hopefully it'll be something that comes along later on to give us some flavor, some activity. This time I'm gonna hook to the rear end and push this string of cars up there, because I think I'm just supposed to dump these right there at the bridge site. Hopefully that's all I gotta do. Boy, it'd be kind of sad if I gotta push each and every single car individually over there. As you can see, you can kind of play this in like a third person. You don't have to be stuck to the locomotive, which is very nice for operational purposes. It can make things a little more lively. You can jump around in your character from one spot to the other. Your character can be in one place. The locomotive can be going a very different direction. So that's a nice thing. I do very much appreciate that. It makes life so much easier for, you know, doing switching things instead of being regulated up close and whatnot. This whole overhead view is very, very nice. Coloring overall is really nice. I do like the coloring. Time of days. Alright, Skybox is not the absolute best that it could be. It doesn't look horrid by any means necessary, compared to some of the other stuff we've seen before, some of the other games, but it definitely could stand to have a nice texture upgrade. I don't know. I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't a little bit spoiled by the AP weather packs, but they're not bad. This isn't bad. Start slowing down here before we slam into these cars. We don't want to do that. Okay. Hold shift, connect the couplers, release handbrakes. Must be on a hill. It's dragging us forward. Hopefully this little locomotive will be able to well, I got air brakes. Never mind. Thinking of it like it's a railroader, or Railroads Online. You don't have air brakes, so it makes for an interesting stop sometimes. But, let's just pull this up real quick. Let's see what it means by Ella Bridge site. Now that we're down here. Let's see what that means. What do we do? Oh, okay. Push it into this section. Ah, that's doable. As you can see, it does take time to do things, which isn't heartbreaking by any means. That is just something to take note of. It does take time to do things. So, if I can pull this back up. As you can see, the cars were issued in almost 2 hours ago. Status is incomplete. Whenever I drop them off, it will take some time to unload all these cars, and then if I am a betting human being, I'm gonna have to take the empties back to the interchange at Whittier to be changed out for some new cars. But it does take time to do things. Now, you're not limited like some of those phone games to sitting and waiting actual days. Uh, Time actually does go by a little bit quicker. Uh, let's see. Now I gotta figure out how I did it. Oh, right. I believe it's... Maybe I'm crazy. Ah, here we are. So you can sleep or you can wait an hour. You can change the time multiplier to be faster, slower, time of day. So you're not stuck sitting here waiting after you drop all your cars off. You don't have to, shut off the game and wait till tomorrow kind of stuff. You can just skip ahead. But if you are looking for realism, there is a weight limit. There's a time limit for, well, not really a limit, but there's a time frame for things to get done, for things to get unloaded, loaded, stuff of that nature. Just pretty cool. I do enjoy it. Now, if you guys are finding this boring, I don't know what to tell you. It's a train game. I don't know if you were expecting anything crazier, but oh well. This will give us something else to fiddle around with as other games grow a little stagnant. Railroads Online seems to have slowed down quite a bit. Alright. Go ahead and apply a handbrake for giggles and squiggles. Yeah. Disconnect both the couplers. Well, looks like it's started to unload. I don't know if I need to go through and open any of this or no. I'm gonna assume no. I don't believe I would get paid for these because I actually paid for this material, so I don't think I get paid for bringing any of this over here. But it does look like it's unloading, so that's cool. So this will take a couple days, probably a day or two at least. So now we can run back to Whittier and grab our little coach. Do a couple passenger runs, make $1 or $2. But that's really about it. It is a fairly quick game to pick up so far. It's nothing too wildly complicated. I don't want to say simple, because it does take a little bit to tinker around with, and the tutorial's not, it doesn't go over every little aspect, so you do got to kind of play around with things, see what fits, see what doesn't fit, see what you like, what you don't like, move stuff around. Like a switch list, have no idea how that works. I have yet to play with that. Still playing around a little bit with all of this. So just some of the contracts, how they work, what they do, what each one means. Whew. Diesel is expensive. Just like real life. Such is life. Bridge side. Oh, whoops. Okay, well. No contracts there. Sawmill, there's a contract. That is one of those things. I don't know how that works. There's a whole string of log cars over there, and it didn't go over that, so I do kind of hope that there's an advanced tutorial later on to kind of go over the more intricacy details. There is kind of, I don't want to call it a wiki, but you do have this right here that kind of breaks it down. But so I would honestly say a kind of advanced tutorial would be a smart thing to have. All your buttons, controls, bells, whistles, multiplayer. So it's a fairly in-depth game. If you were hoping for a full-bore train simulator, this probably isn't quite it. Not quite what you're looking for. If you're looking for a more relaxed style of operation with a more in-depth business side, this would probably be it. So the game is $30 on Steam right now, which, truth be told, ain't too bad for any of us that kicked off with Railroads Online. It sounds about right. But $30, not bad by any means. I'm definitely getting my $30 worth out of it so far. I'm enjoying it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a nice new take on a train game. It was overall stable gameplay. I haven't noticed any wild bugs. As I said, I haven't tried multiplayer. I don't know if trying to drag somebody else into my server is going to absolutely murder the game or some weirdness, but I haven't noticed any just wildly game-breaking bugs or anything like that. So. And it overall was a pretty nice game. Now, the time of day does change. So the sun does move with the time of day. The lighting does change. I don't know if the weather changes. I haven't seen any weather changes. It's been just kind of clear this whole time. Well, not necessarily clear. You can very clearly see the clouds up in the sky, but I haven't seen it like raining or snowing or anything like that. I don't know if that's a plan later on. I did not follow this game at all. I knew it was a thing that was being made, but that was kind of as far as it went. Quite frankly, I just don't see a point in following a game before it's ever been released. It's just kind of, yeah, I don't want to say pointless. Some people enjoy it, but that's just me. I don't see a point in it. So I did not follow this game prior to it releasing. I simply knew that it was being made, but I don't know if time of day or the weather changes and whatnot is going to be a thing, seasonal changes, but it certainly would be cool. As it sits, it's really quite nice. There's a nice summer vibe to it. So I think I would say, as of right now, I would definitely recommend checking it out. If this is your style of game, it's definitely one of the best on the market as it sits, even in an early access. It is very, very rare that I ever give such a high compliment to a game still in early access, like Sons of the Forest or Jedi Survivor. Games that released were garbage in early access. But this would be one of those odd times. I would definitely say check it out. If you wait later, wait for some content to get, added in, okay, it's fine. But if what you're seeing is catching your interest, definitely go check it out. I think it was well worth $30. I think it's pretty cool. I like it. I can see myself having a lot of fun with it so far. So, yeah. I think I'm going to call it right there. This is just my initial thoughts in the first 45 minutes of gameplay. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, maybe I'll continue on with some more videos, maybe some update videos, what's coming, what's to come, what might get updated, what comes around to see. Maybe I'll do some live streams just playing the railroad as it sits. But I'm gonna call it there. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. You can check this game out on Steam in the Steam store. Again, Railroader is $30 if it so interests you. And I will see you guys next time.